Welcome to the Daphne Child Grantee Spotlight Series, where we showcase the innovative work of our grantees in combating violence against children. The Daphne Child Programme is a collaborative initiative funded by the European Union, led by Eurochild and Terre des Hommes, empowering grassroots civil society organizations across 9 European countries through a comprehensive 3-year sub-granting and capacity building program. You can learn more at daphne.childhub.org. That's daphne.childhub.org.
I'm Zsófia Karetka, and today I'm speaking with Irina Pushik from Dignity Online in Ukraine about their project Youth-Led Safety Lessons, empowering peer education for online abuse prevention. Irina, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you much for inviting.
To start, could you please tell us about Dignity Online and also yourself? So how did you come to focus on online safety for children and young people?
I'm working as an operational director within our organization, and our organization is focusing solo on protecting children from online risks. We started our work back in 2018 as a small initiative. Once we saw the video of Europol that was describing the problem of online sexual abuse and exploitation of children, and our founder, Anastasia Ryakova, she understood that this problem is not so well spoken in Ukraine, and she decided to bring it to Ukraine and to raise awareness more about it. And everything started with small lessons and campaigns, awareness-raising campaigns on online sexual abuse and exploitation. But right now, through all of these years, we evolved so much that we cover different risks, not only online sexual abuse and exploitation, and we work with 4 main directions. It's educational campaign, awareness raising, and creative solutions. It's also support for victims and survivors. And as the last one, it's research and advocacy. And so far, we have educated more than 900 children and adults, parents, educators, police officers, psychologists, social workers, and children of different ages. And we have more than 60 educational programs. And we host 2 portals for moving sexual abuse materials of our partners from UK and US. We also have our psychological line where children and adults can address towards online safety issues. Together with the Government Contact Center, we have a special line for online safety. We successfully advocated back in 2021 criminalization of online grooming and watching and possession of child sexual abuse materials in Ukraine. And so far we have conducted 2 national researches, one in 2020 and one last year, in which we also questioned children about their experience online and particularly about the risks that they encounter online. About me personally, I came to the team a little bit more than 4 years ago. For me, it was also very exciting when I saw, back then it was just a simple project. And when I saw it, it was interesting online risks. And even though I'm quite young, I haven't heard about or think about the problems that way. And that it can be like online sexual abuse. So I decided to try myself. I joined first as an assistant and grow through within the project to the operational director. And I'm very excited. We have a small team, but more like a family, and we work a lot towards our mission of protecting children. And we are all very excited and inspired to help children and all the risks that happening and to make it better internet for children, so it will be more like a space for the opportunities rather than risks.
Yes, this is definitely needed because the statistics from your research in your application show that there are some deeply concerning numbers. You found that 24% of children in Ukraine face online sexual abuse annually, and 1 in 6 children are ready to meet strangers from the internet. I'm just wondering, how do you see the full-scale invasion and the ongoing war in Ukraine? How has it changed these risks?
It has changed a lot. The statistics that you mentioned, it was from our first research that we conducted in 2020. And because the data we received early this year, at the beginning of 2025, and we see that influence of war is huge on children. Primarily, children start to spend more time online. They escape there to more from the purposes to distract themselves from the offline realities. And at the same time, it's also connected with education, as a lot of schools in Ukraine are still closed or they're in hybrid form. So children spend more time for educational purposes. I think 20% of children spend it for more than 7 hours for educational purposes, and also in general for life needed purposes. What we additionally see, except for the online sexual abuse, as that children encounter and they keep encountering, it's also a risk connected with the war. One of them, it's influence on their digital mental well-being. From 9 to 33% of children daily encounter different form of violent content. It's from self-harm to war-related content. So it's deaths, it's destructions, explosions, and nearly half of them say that once they see this content, that they experience fear, anxiety, and anger because of what they encounter. Additionally to the mental well-being that they influence them, it's also risks that Russia is using Ukrainian children, and it's a huge problem that we are working starting from this year. It's regarding recruitment of children online to commit war crimes, terrorist attacks, and it's a huge problem that is growing, and we're paying a lot of attention within our campaigns for this. According to our data from law enforcement, last year there was 92 cases that were confirmed the children were involved and recruited online by Russian authorities. And this year, just within the first 5 months, we had 74 cases. And it's in majority of cases, it's children younger than 14 years, than 16 years old. So it's important to mention children don't do this because they don't believe in Ukraine or they want to betray the country. They do this only from the financial purposes. And we have a lot of stories when children agreed because their families are in need and they need to do this. That's the only way how they find that they can earn money. And it's an easy and huge amount of money that they can earn in a fast way. And the manipulations that they encounter, it's usually simple task, like go make a photo, share it with us, like a secret buyer, and then it's increasing go and make administrative building, which is not completely all right to do it right now from the purposes of safety, and then they ask them to go burn vehicle. And children may say no, but they say, well, you already took the photo, so we will report you to the police and you will have problems. And children are scared because, as we saw back in 2020 and right now, more than 50% of children, as they report, that they will never tell what happened to them online to anybody, their parents or their peers, no one, and they're scared to share. And we have stories when children were scared because they were first also, it's like they're saying that they are so confident that they will say, but in reality, when they encounter this, they are scared that someone will judge them, that their parents won't understand them. And with the war risks, it's more that they will go to the prison and they don't want. But we always encourage that right now within our campaigns, and law enforcement in Ukraine also encourage until you did something really bad, like for example the terrorist attack, you always even if you did it, come to the police. We will help you. It's more like an act of the heroes that you come, that you addressed us, that we help to find those who try to contact you and to make you these terrible things.
Thank you for providing this very sobering context. What are the specific online platforms or technologies that you see that pose the greatest risks, in your view, to Ukrainian children?
All of them brings different risks. We see that within our statistics that majority of children, they're using in Ukraine Telegram, TikTok, Viber, and Instagram as a primary source of communication and their engagement online. Within the war-related risks, what's more, when it's coming to recruitment, we see that all the cases that were registered, they're coming through the Telegram, but we understand that this contact primarily can happen in other platforms. It can be also online games. So technically, you are nowhere safe. You just need to be aware that these risks are and be cautious about what you are doing. And also parents need to be cautious about how much time their children spending online. And also that's the primary purpose why some social media, they have restriction with the age. For example, like the Telegram, technically it's from 18 years old. So that's why there is this restriction and these risks. So children and parents and children will be aware that they won't use it until they are this age.
On the other hand, you also mentioned that 80% of children that you talked to in your research said that they want to be actively involved in developing online safety practices. So how has this desire for participation shaped your approach in this project?
We believe that it's important to bring children perspective, because even though, for example, I'm quite young, I have been teenagers maybe less than 10 years ago, but I may not understand completely the children that are right now and what they encounter and how it's better to bring into them, because I'm not using that actively TikTok, but TikTok is everything for them. So
Yeah.
it's very important for us to bring them, and we see the children that we brought already for our eSafety Council, that they're very active and that they're bringing the new perspective for us, something that we weren't sure that it's maybe interesting for them. And we had the approach that based on the statistics, this can be very critical. But they showed us, no, this would be more critical than what we see and why children can get into this risk or why it's important to talk about something. So it's very important for us that they are sharing and we bring in this perspective. And it's also a bit of a fresh air for us to understand how to engage with those that are primary beneficiary of our work.
Yes, so you mentioned this Children's eSafety Council, which is really at the heart of your project. So can you tell us how this works in practice? So how many children, how did you find them? How did you recruit them? What is this going to look like?
Well, right now we have 10 children, but we are planning to engage more starting with the new educational year in September. Our approach was more the teenagers, so it's from 13 to 17. So they're still studying school. We had a questionnaire and we publish it publicly, so any child from any region of Ukraine can engage with us. They explained us why they wanted to join, what initiatives they wanted to do. We spoke with them, and those that were more show more initiative, and they were more into the topic. We decided to engage them with us. We tried to make a balance, so it would be girls and boys, but girls were more active. And for right now, we have more girls. That's why we want to secure also more spots that boys will come, and that it would be a perspective of from different regions of Ukraine. It was also our point that it won't be only from Kyiv, for example, the capital, but also from other regions, from small villages. So we tried to make it as diverse as possible, so to capture the bigger picture and bigger problems that children can encounter. Right now, as children are in different regions, we work with them online. We established it in the end of May. We were having regular meetings, I think almost every 2 weeks. So meeting where we met with them, talked about what they want, how do they see the work, establish all of this work. We had a pre-council also project. Some of the children actually also in the council from this project. It was a video campaign that we had with them where children, we were interviewing them about the questions on online safety on different topics. We have 5 main videos. And then based on what children answer, as a specialist, it was representatives of law enforcement, psychologists, other experts. They were providing their feedback and saying what would be better to do to be safe in this specific kind of risks.
Can you share some examples of the children's real life experience that they might have shared that shaped your lesson content?
When we were asking them within the forum, what do they see, what are the main problems, or what they would like to address, a lot of them mentioned cyberbullying. They didn't share the stories with us, but they see that it's probably from the experience in schools, that they see that it's a huge problem. And another one that they raise that it's like a huge problem, it's also awareness about data protection and data use, and the children would be more aware. That was primarily what they say, is that we need to focus. And also what was helpful from the communication with them, because we asked them what format of the lesson. So it won't be a standard format that we usually conduct with the schools and providing it for them. And they also provided us few ideas, and we finalized with them on one. And we are currently in the piloting stage. So soon we will start to launch the trainings for the other children and to start to spread it around the country. So they will be conducting them.
Some of the other projects that I've talked to in this podcast that are doing kind of similar activities, something that keeps coming up is that children don't actually recognize that it's a violent behavior when they are online. Is this something you also observe with your children? So they are talking about cyberbullying, but without naming it, and then they don't realize it's actually violent behavior, even if they are affected by it.
Technically, they highlighted the problems that you said, that the children don't see that this is a risk, and we understand that it is, and not with the communication with the children, but we had a recent huge case in Ukraine connected with online sexual abuse. And the girl who was 15 while she was abused, in the communication, someone was sending her, the adult man, he was sending her nudes. And she didn't react, she didn't tell anybody. She wasn't thinking that it's technically the abuse that he's sending them to her. And the messages with the sexualized content, that it's online grooming. And she was thinking that it's more like a joke. So we do think that this problem can exist. The children don't understand that they encounter, because even it's more from our experience with working with adults, professional adults, educators, social workers. A lot of them say, no, we have never, before we conducted the training, we have never encountered in our practice an online case abuse, or they think that it's not as important as offline abuse. And then once they completed the training, we see this change in mindset, that someone's like, yeah, I do really encounter them in my previous experience. Or now I understand that it's really that important, because it's something that stays with you online. Everything that is online staying there forever. And what can be the influence? And it's not only for a child, that it can be for the childhood period, it can be also for later in the years. So we understand that some children, and that's what children highlighted, that sometimes they do not understand that it's really a risk, or that something that they're doing, or that they're sharing some information with them, that it can bring the potential risk on them.
So the output of this project is online materials. Is that right? Are you planning any offline activities as well? I mean, as the output, not the consultations necessarily.
We will deliver the training online, but those children that will be training their peers, it would be up to them to decide. If they have the opportunity to deliver it offline in the class or in the communities that they're working, they can deliver it offline. But if such, for example, it's a child from the regions where schools are closed because of the war, they can deliver it online. So we do not measure them that it's only online. Preferably it would be offline, because in general, I think the concept that the children created, it's more a concept of a quest, it would be more valuable for them to make it offline.
That makes perfect sense. So your process also involves like in-depth interviews and identifying the pain points and developing these lesson topics based on the children's insights, like you just shared. So how do you balance addressing these serious realities that children may face online while keeping the content age appropriate and not too overwhelming for the audiences afterwards?
I think the most important is that we always highlight that there is a psychologist. We provide all of the resources. They can anonymously come to the psychologist line. We have also chatbots where they can go and encounter information. They can always reach to us. All of our focal points at communicating with the children, they are always in contact with them. So if child needs any support, or they see that for some reason their rights were violated, they can reach out to us and we will provide the support. So we are always there for them, and we always say that the priorities for the children and how they engage, and that they won't be traumatized about what they're reading, or what they're watching, or what they're listening.
Thank you. So just to recap, so you are going to work with this children's e-council online to develop these safety lessons, which then children can share among their peers. So it's very much a peer-to-peer approach, which is really a recurring theme among the Daphne grantee projects, especially when it comes to the online space. So according to you, what makes peer education more effective than just the traditional adult-led safety lessons when addressing these topics?
We have proven that adults is effective because we had a little internal research if this works. But what we see from both researches that we were conducting, the children, when they ask them how they would react in such situation, they say that they would, in 80%, they would rather tell their friends and peers that they would go to their parents or trusted adults. So we understand that it's more important when someone is like a peer talking to them, that they trust each other more than they trust their parents. Also, sometimes parents are not so often, or for example, in times of war, they're more preoccupied with things that are happening offline and thinking primarily how to make their child offline safe, that they would be in the bunker, that nothing will happen to them, that there will be enough of food and also financial stability. So children can be more distant from the adults, but they will be always more open to peers. And also they will see the similar problems and they use the same social media. They also speak the same language. So it would be easier for them to communicate, to engage, to explain some stuff more simple ways than they, as in teachers would do this when they are explaining it from the handbooks that we provided to them.
I'm also wondering, because then these children will become peer educators, which requires a certain skill set. So I'm just wondering, what do you think, what skills and support will they need for them to be able to handle difficult questions or disclosures from their peers?
Within the project itself, as we are planning additionally to the children that are within our council to recruit more children, approximately 120 children would be educated as trainers. So we will come to them and we will bring them all the question and explain about the specific reason we decide to focus lessons on, all the strategies, all the potential questions which we will also engage with the children and see what questions they have. That's why it's also why we are piloting lessons right now to see how children react, what questions do they have. So we would also include it in the trainings, and within the trainings, children can ask any questions. As well, if during the delivering the lessons to their peers, they will see that there will be more questions and they won't be able to answer, they can always provide, we will give them our contacts where children can address, and we will support them and provide additional support to the children from the class on the risks they encounter. We also include all the information about the resources. So if the child will feel uncomfortable speaking about the risk, but they encounter something similar and they need support, that they will know where they can go. We also provide them with all the materials that they can either print or use online. So all of these elements we are including, and we're trying to test it a few more times before we will be delivering the lesson. So we will try to cover all the potential questions that can be included. Those that we cannot predict, we would be happy to answer themselves so children can address us directly.
I'm also wondering whether these lessons will be publicly available for anyone to use afterwards.
Yes, all of them will become publicly available after we conduct with our peer-to-peer approach and the main phase. It will be available in January. Primarily, we'll publish it in Ukrainian on our website, and all materials say in Ukrainian on our website, also through our social media, and we will try to engage more with the mass media, so they will also spread information about the materials. So yes, search on our website. I think the link to our website would be under this episode, and we would be, if you have any questions, we would be also happy to chat more, and you can always reach to us by email.
Who do you recommend these safety lessons to? So obviously children, but maybe their parents, anyone else?
Yeah, we recommend it to obviously children, teenagers, also to parents, educators, psychologists to work with children, to make them more social workers, or anyone who is engaging with children to teach them. If your organization, for example, is working with the children, you can also use these materials and to deliver to make children more aware. So anyone who is working with the children or have children or is a child, these materials are for them.
Back to the activities of the project. So you are aiming to reach over 5,400 children through these peer educators. How did you come to this number? And I wonder how, because this is a very large number, this is an ambitious goal. So how do you ensure quality and consistency in the lessons while also allowing for the authenticity of the peer-to-peer connection?
With a number, as we have prior experience of creating lessons and then delivering them through the schools. We usually work that we create the lessons, conduct the training for teachers, then they take the lessons and they go to school. So we have approximate data how much children is usually in the one Ukrainian class and how much one teacher, for example, can deliver. So Our first idea was that the lessons would be delivered through schools. That's why we also will be engaging our stakeholders like State Service for Quality of Education, so they will help us to spread the information among teenagers to participate in the program. That's how we calculated that approximately this would be from the amount that we aimed to educate and how much, at least one lesson if they conduct. With the quality, we try to also evaluate. For us, it's super important. So we will evaluate before and after to see if there is any progress. Also, we usually ask to make some photos as a proof that lesson was delivered, how it was delivered. And we also will think about this moment. We also would like maybe to ask children, those that have participated, if they can evaluate if the lessons was interesting or not. So it won't be only from the perspective of those who delivered the lesson, but also who were listening, and to see what was useful or what we can add additionally, and maybe some information from the question, for example, were missing. So we will add it to the materials and improve them before making them public.
Later, you're also planning a broader awareness campaign on social media. So how are you planning to do that? On what channels?
We usually communicate more directly with children through the TikTok. So we look for the most comfortable message for them to be delivered and the most understandable and in more simple language, but also for parents and educators, we deliver through Facebook and Instagram. So it's like we try to separate these two audiences, so it would be and make it more appropriate for the specific age or group.
I'm wondering that based on your experience so far with Dignity Online, what would be your key advice for organizations that also work on online safety in a conflict context or in other contexts? What would be your key advice about genuinely involving children and young people as partners rather than just recipients of safety education?
It is important, so not to be scared to involve them, because the perspective that children are bringing is unique. We as adults will never guess what's going on in their mind, no matter how many researches we are bringing. And they can bring something that we have never seen before and point us the methods that would be more useful to engage with them and to bring to this information to them. So it's definitely not to be scared and to bring children and try to give them more, to empower also their voices and to listen to these voices. So because other children, they will more likely to listen to the voices of other children. And also adults, when children would be speaking about the problems they have, and it would be raising a huge awareness campaigns, they would also start to listen to the voices of children.
Irina Pušik from Dignity Online, thank you so much for joining us today and telling us about your project.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting us.
To our listeners, thank you for joining us for this episode of the Daphne Child Program's Grantee Spotlight series. You can learn more about this program and all the 48 grantee projects across 9 countries at our website daphne.childhub.org. Until next time, goodbye!